Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy that I have the pleasure to welcome you today on our webinar, which is prepared for the schools primarily. So Deloitte for School webinars. I should say that it's exactly 2 months when we started this journey, and it was not easy because we all know that it was very difficult and shocking for everybody to start from nothing to do all the online learning for schools and for teachers, for kids at home. And as a mother, I know exactly how difficult it was at the beginning. So I feel very proud that Deloitte started to help the schools and education system with how to manage this difficult situation. And what I would like to do at the very beginning is to introduce a woman who is the mother of this project, who really came with this idea and was saying, okay, we need to do something, we need to help the society. And I believe that the education is one of the most important. So I'm very proud that she's my colleague, and is Senta Chermáková, who will explain to you how today's webinar will work, who are our guests, etc. But big welcome to Senta.
Thank you so much, Diana. I think you can now see me. Yeah, so as Diana said, it was like a wonderful journey during the last 8 weeks. And yes, today we are welcoming you as the international teachers and international directors and principals of the schools. But the previous 7 weeks, we were running those webinars in the Czech language. So today we have the international premiere of our series. We hope you will enjoy it. And what we prepared for you for today is basically the cream of our content so far. So we will talk about Khan Academy and Davide, yes, please. Khan Academy, and this will be the speech presented by my colleague Petra Jirutkova. And then we will also review the tips and tricks around the Microsoft platforms, and we will finalize our webinar with the methodologies and security warnings from our colleague Jan Hejtmánek. And as always, we are always welcoming your interaction. Please send us your questions, answers in the chat mode, and we will also ask you regularly for your opinions in our mini polls. So enjoy the webinar with us, and let me now start with giving the speech, the floor to Petra Jirutkova. Petra is our colleague in Deloitte, and her role is Deloitte Associate in the Financial Advisory in the Evaluations Department. And on top of this Deloitte assignment, Petra runs the job as a content manager in Khan Academy, Czech Republic. So Petra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Senta. I think I'll share my webcam now, and I will also share if this works. Yes, it works. And I will also like to share the screen with you that I have. Yes, thank you very much. So now if everything works, you should be able to see my screen where Khan Academy is. So thank you first, thank you for having me here and for the opportunity to speak to this audience that I believe is both domestic Czech and international. In one of the first Deloitte webinars for schools, I introduced Khan Academy, and I focused rather on our local use of it, meaning in the Czech Republic. And I talked also about the difference between Khan Academy and our local NGO, non-governmental organization, which is called Khanova Škola. And I hope to get to this later on today in my presentation, but because I would like to, I would like to share a bit of my local practice with Khan Academy, but my first topic of today would be to talk about Khan Academy itself in its original English version. So Khan Academy, as you can see, now is a non-profit organization. It's based in California in the US. And its mission is, as you can see here, is to provide a free world-class education for anyone, anywhere. Khan Academy offers free lessons in math. If I can click here, in math, history, grammar, meaning English grammar, physics, biology, and many more subjects. Khan Academy is named after its founder, who is Sal Khan. And the idea at first started with a very US-centric idea, helping more the underprivileged children that cannot afford to pay extra tutors for their kids. And it became wider and wider as well, with trying to address as many teachers and as many children and parents as possible. So it's not, nowadays, it's not only about those who want to catch up on what they didn't get in school today. It's also about those who have never had a chance to have a proper formal education, for example, in some rural areas or parts of Africa. The miracle and absolutely fabulous thing about Khan Academy is that it's based on mastery learning. If I scroll down here a bit, yeah, you can learn anything. That's the mission of Khan Academy as well. And if I scroll down a bit, it's not really, you can't see it from now, but the concept of mastery learning, if you have never heard of it, is basically learning a specific subject until you completely master it. So it's, in some ways, it goes very much against the formal education of grading and of what we are basically used to. Normally if you get a C from equations and inequalities in the 7th grade, and then you're happy that that the topics move on, and then you don't have to get another C from inequalities because you have never actually understood the full concept of it. But what usually happens is that if you don't know it properly, inequalities will come to you sooner or later in your secondary school studies. So, and then you're in trouble, yeah, so to say. So the concept of mastery learning goes against this and wants every student to completely master the topic. And this can be reached only because at Khan Academy, every student can learn at their own pace. Teachers often think that Khan Academy is here kind of to steal their jobs. And if they don't send students to Khan Academy, it's like cheating because they will no longer be needed in their role. But what we try to simply address and explain to teachers is that Khan Academy is here to help them. And Khan Academy does not want to compete with teachers. And how do we help teachers? We give them, I think, what is nowadays especially the most precious commodity, and that's time. Time to spend with students on meaningful things, to be able to quickly identify gaps in learning of each individual student, or to talk about these individual needs specifically. At Khan Academy, teachers can track student progress, and they can create assignments and provide tailored instruction. And now, enough talking, and I will show you a bit how it works on the screen. So I already have an account at Khan Academy, and if you don't have one, you can register at any time. And what I have here, if I click on my super account, and this is teacher's dashboard. This is, if I were a teacher, I would create, I already have here 3 classes with my students. Some of them, one of them has 1 student, the second one has 2 students, but if I have no classes at all, I could simply add new class. I could add a name to my class. For example, if I was, I will write just 7, I know, A, Hogwarts. And I will do, because I know what subjects I'm going to be doing, I'll do math. for my better orientation. If I have already a Google account and I'm using Google Classroom, I can simply import my Google Classroom that I have already created in there. So that's very simple. If I click next, I can add a course. I can select a course that I will do in my class. If I want to skip that, that's okay, but I will eventually have to do this later on in my course. I can select from a wide range of what I mentioned previously: math, science, computing, arts, grammar, storytelling, economics, finance, and even preparation for standardized tests such as SAT, if you have an idea about this. Because I did math, I'm going to select, I could choose math by grade or by subject. I'm going to do just Algebra 1, for example. And I will do next, and now I can add students to my class. So 3 ways how to do this. I could invite my Google Classroom if I have already a Google Classroom and I'm using it. I can simply create a link and I could share this with my students. So every student, if they have a laptop, they can simply visit this website and enter the class code. I can print instructions for them. Or the third way how to do it is to create accounts for students if they don't have one. Because for younger students, it might be difficult to log in and to create their own account. So, for example, for 1st grade or 2nd grade, I could easily create these for them. I can skip this for now, but if you do this, you will see a unique username and unique password for each student that you can give them. Yes, I'll close this now and go to rather a already created class that I did, and I'll show you a bit what I did there. I have encountered some technical difficulties this morning, but hope they're already gone. So I can see in the created class, I can already see my students here that I have. I can see various assignments that I do for them. I can assign them, for example, negative numbers. I can assign them this quiz, and I can, I can assign them with this little button. If I do this, I could just select due date. I could select to which students this is aimed, and it goes away. So assign. I did this just now. I can also observe scores that they haven't finished it yet, but if they were to finish, I would see percents in which they finished it. So this is basically a quick overview of Khan Academy and teachers, how to create a class, etc. So it's really simple. Let me come back to the content. Regarding the content, once again, as you saw, how many courses and how much content is available in English, from maths to science, computing. Computing is a very different course here at Khan Academy. I can show you. Because it's based on interactive scripts. It's not educational videos, it's interactive scripts. So if I come here and I'm in computer programming, I could learn how to draw. And I can open, for example, coloring. I could learn how to color some stuff in programming. And as you can see, I have here the interactive script that I can, in any point in time, just enter and make changes. So, and the changes will be visible on the right side. And to this, you have a normal commentary that you can play. The script would change according to the commentary, but anytime you can enter the code. I could just change here coordinate, and you'll see there the change actually appear here. So that's really cool. But continuing with other courses, we have here really humanities and also preparations for standardized tests. So this was a short introduction of Khan Academy. I don't know how much time I still have left, but I'd like to talk about.
So you have like 5 minutes.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really got into explaining stuff, so wasn't sure. But if I have 5 minutes, I'd like to talk a bit more about various localizations and translations around the world. Because as Khan Academy became more and more popular, there has been an increasing demand for translations. What we see here in the Czech Republic is that local students tend to use rather Czech localizations, Czech resources, than switching into English resources. We also hear from the teachers community that it's very hard, even for advanced students, to actually use English resources, because suddenly students have to multitask. They have to grasp and understand the new content they learn, and they have to do this in English that is not their mother tongue. So it's basically learning something and learning English, kind of using it in English. So we still have quite high demand for Czech translated content in the Czech Republic. Khan Academy is now in 43 languages and is used in more than 190 countries around the world. I have here a nice graphics that hopefully, this is in 2019, there was basically 8.7 billion minutes of video watched around the world. So this is pretty cool, I think. Now back to the translations and localizations. These are done usually by local teams, and are usually done by only volunteers or funded by some local donors. I can share the experience from the Czech team that we a few years ago partnered up with the software company Bakaláři, which supply the school software needed for grading presence of students and many other things at schools. To the Bakaláři, basically the software is at the majority of schools in the Czech Republic. And how it works is that Bakaláři in their software they have a module where educational resources are linked, and they are available to teachers, students, and parents. So we as Czech Khan Academy are linked there as well. Now coming back to our Czech localization, I have here open our Czech translation, and the majority of this is really math courses. We newly introduced math courses by grade that we have here. We also have computing and newly organic chemistry translated, and recently we have included also some humanities. For example, the course of growth mindset. For those of you who don't know the concept of growth mindset, I strongly recommend to check it out, because either on the translated Khan Academy or on the original, because I think it's really worth it. More translations in the case of Czech Republic are to come. We're working hard on math, physics, chemistry, and programming content. And basically every day we're adding something new. I think it might be nice to mention also all of the localizations of Khan Academy, just to pick a few, because we're in the Central European region. There is, for example, the Russian localization side, always with the prefix, with a specific prefix of Khan Academy. So these are ru.khanacademy.org. There is also, what I learned yesterday, there is also a Hungarian localization site, hu.khanacademy.org. Very active are, for example, colleagues from Bulgaria, that I don't have them here, but I can simply try to find them if everything works well. Yes. These are Bulgarian colleagues. And also worth mentioning in the Central European region is the Polish localization. So it's, as you can see, really, I mentioned 43 languages. So you can find yourself whatever language suits you. So I think that was all from my side. The bottom line is that Khan Academy is simply here to help. And with the wonderful work of both volunteer and professional teams of translators and video creators, we're able to spread this help worldwide. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Petja. And maybe, David, if you can share the poll, which is regarding the Khan Academy. Yes, and let me read it for all of you. Did you know that Khan Academy offers education for a range of subjects, from languages, mathematics, etc.? And the first response could be, of course, I'm a regular user. The second option, yes, I have heard about it and I used it a few times. The third option, yes, I heard about it. First option, no, I don't know about it at all. So let me repeat the question. Did you know that Khan Academy offers education for a range of subjects? And 4 choices to select. Please vote now. And organizers and panelists, please don't vote. And we are now awaiting the results. So you see, the majority of yourself, of our listeners, are selecting the third option. And this is, yes, I have heard about it, but I haven't used it yet. So it's a great chance for all of you to try it maybe later today or over the weekend. And then, now it disappeared. Okay, no worries. We can summarize the results of this poll question in our message to all of you, where we will also share all the slides with you. And we will also share the link where this webinar will be available for those of you who wants to share it with your friends and things like that. And now it's my dear pleasure to introduce our second speaker. It's Kariel Kotovsky from Microsoft. His role in Microsoft is a learning solutions specialist. And when we hosted Kariel Kotovsky last time, he was the speaker who received the majority of questions from the audience. So I hope that you will be as interactive as the previous group. And Kariel, please take it from there.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just would like to share a screen. Okay, thank you. Just select the right one. Okay, so now you should be able to see my screen as well. And I would like to share with you some great tips and tricks related to Office 365 solution, which is completely free in the version A1 for schools. And it offers you a lot of great solutions and services, like, for example, Office Online, like Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Teams for distance learning, and stuff like that. And I would like to share with you some tips and tricks, and we will start with Microsoft Teams. I'm pretty sure that you probably already heard about it, that you have a chance to get in touch with Teams. If not, to start with Office 365 is pretty simply, and you just need to go to a website which is called Office 365 for Education, and you can register your school completely free within 3 minutes. So that's pretty simply. And I would like to show you, as I said, some tips and tricks. And I will start with the general post with your class that you are able to do. The first of all is that, for example, if you are chatting with your students, you want sometimes to create some quick poll, like we did it a few minutes ago during the webinar. And in Microsoft Teams, you can use the bot, which is called Microsoft Forms, and you can use it like I will show you now. You can just need to mention the bot, so you just need to type @forms, and you see there's already some suggestions from the Teams, which is the Forms bot, which helps you to easily create surveys, quizzes, and polls. And when I click on it, I'm just need to type a question. So, for example, what is the capital city of, for example, I don't know, Czech Republic? Okay, Republic. And now I just type some answers like almost Prague, Brno, and when I press enter, and I just need to adjust my screen. Oh, sorry, this one. Okay. So hopefully within few seconds, we should see the response from the Forms bot. Hey, wake up. And if not, you can wake it up just by clicking the three dots at the end of the line down there, and you can type the question here as well. So, for example, my question will be again, what is the capital city of Czech? Option 1 is almost, second one Prague, third one, for example. And when I send it to my team or to my class, I should be able within few seconds, hopefully. You know, it's live demo, so it's always something happened. And now it's not working now. Okay, sorry for that. But as I already said, you can use it in this way, and I can show you some screens or screenshot where you can use it. The second tip is if you want to post some message to more than one team. For example, as a teacher, you will have access and you will be the owner of a lot of teams. And sometimes you want to make some announcements, like, for example, hey, you welcome back to school or something like this. And you don't want to post it in each and every team individual. So what can you do is that you can open again the team, the first team, and down there you just click on the first icon, which is formatting, and here there's a button called post in multiple channels. So you can select more than one channel, of course, and I will select like some IT and mathematics and other classes where am I teaching. And now I can add some subject like welcome back to school. And when I post it, it's posted. We will meet you tomorrow at 9. And when I send it, it's automatically posted to more than one channel. So if you needed to do this, you can do it simply in this way. The next one is that if you start to use Microsoft Teams with your students, you have a tab called Post here, and you can chat with students individually in this chat panel or within the class. And it usually happens, and in after some time, the students will post something which is not good to be seen by the others. You know, it can be some rude questions or stuff like that. And you, as a teacher, you have two options how to solve it. The first one is that you can, of course, delete the message you don't want to be seen by other members of the team. But firstly, because you are not allowed to delete the others or the post which was created by others. So firstly, you need to go to manage team, and here in the settings, there is a settings called in members permission, which is called owners can delete all messages, and it will secure that you as an owner of the team and as a teacher in the classroom and in the team, so you will be able to delete the messages written by other members, that means students. The second one is that usually if you delete a message, the students will post it again, and it doesn't make a sense to to delete it, post it, delete it, post it. So what you can do in Microsoft Teams is that you can mute the students for some period of time. So again, I will go to Manage Team, and here in Members and Guests, I'm able to mute all of the students. Of course, that's only one or two. So if you want to mute the students, you can do it in team settings. So that's some tips and tricks related to the post tab. The second one is, for example, that you have some already prepared tabs in the upper part of the screen, but you can add more of them. And when you click on a plus sign on the right side, there's a lot of add-ons which can help you to make your team more productive. Like you can post some YouTube videos, you can pin some website, etc. And also there is a lot of third-party solutions which you can pin to your team as well. But let's keep it simple, and I will show you how you can use it, for example, website. Just imagine that this class is related to chemistry, and I would like to pin something which is long-term resource for the learning within the chemistry, and it can be, for example, the periodic table. So only thing I need to do is to find the link to some good site where periodic table is mentioned, and it can be Wikipedia, of course, and of course it can be your local version of Wikipedia as well. And what I only need to do is to copy the link, and when I go back to Microsoft Teams, I just select that I want to pin a website here, and the website will be called, or the pin or tab will be called periodic table, and I just paste the link here, and when I save it, the periodic table is now the regular part of my team, and as you can see, I'm able to see the screen within the team. So I can add as many as website as I needed, but as I said, keep it simple and put only the long-term resources here, which helps you that you don't need to go every time to website, search for periodic table, etc. The next tip is related to files. Here you can share with your students some class resources, and the students can share it some materials with you as well. And in general, when you create a new team, there is only one folder called class materials, and this folder is pretty special because it's for read only for students. But if you create some other folders here, it's not only read only for the students, but the students are able to they can upload some documents, files, and other folders within the folder. They can change the content, and they can also delete it, because they are able to, if you need to get them the permission to upload something within the folder and do some changes, they also can to delete it. And if as a teacher, if you want to have a control over it, you have two options. The first one is when you open the folder, because Microsoft Teams is based on a Microsoft SharePoint solution, you can open this folder in SharePoint. And when I open it in SharePoint, and hopefully it will be in English. Okay, I just need to log in. And right now the Microsoft SharePoint is open, and and the folder class materials will be shown. And within this folder, right now it's empty, but if I want, for example, find out why is it empty and who deleted the files here, there's a recycle bin on the left menu, and when you open it, you will be able to see the deleted files, deleted folders, and of course, you will be able to see who deleted the file or folder. Just to notice that students have access to this recycle bin as well. Because, for example, if they delete some file or folder by mistake, they can do it and they can they can fix it by move the file back from the recycle bin. But of course, that they can also empty the recycle bin. But for this situation, as a teacher, you have extra access to second stage recycle bin, and the link is down there. And it's only available for the team owners, for teachers, not for students. So if you open the second stage recycle bin down there, you have access to files deleted from the recycle bin of the first level. So you can always have complete control over the file deletion. So you can also restore the file from the recycle bin, and you always will be you always will be aware that who deleted the file. So that's my tip related to files. And the third tip is related to assignments. When you are creating the assignments, you can create the assignment from the scratch, but of course that you can create assignment as the quiz. And you can, as I already said, part of the Office 365 solution is Microsoft Forms, and you can use as a quiz already created form within the Microsoft Forms. So for example, I can choose one of my Microsoft Forms here. It can be like, for example, Microsoft Word quiz, and I can post it as a assignment, and it will be automatically graded because as you will see in a couple of seconds, I can add manually the points, or if the quiz already has some points, it will be automatically filled in. And because I'm able to set the correct answers and incorrect answers, the quiz will be automatically graded, which is pretty nice. And I will show you this later. So if you want to start using Teams, you can do it, as I said, completely for free within few minutes. And there's a lot of resources on a website in English, in your local language as well, because the Microsoft Education teams are present in your countries as well. And you can start using Teams for not only for distance learning, but as a support of your learning in general. So that's some tips and tricks related to Teams. And right now, I would switch to Microsoft Forms.
Kariel, before you switch, can we do the poll question?
Oh, of course.
Yes, so Davide, can you put the poll question number 4? Yeah, excellent. So our poll question number 4 is, to what extent do you use Microsoft Teams? Now I can't read it. Talking about today. I have it here. To what extent do you use Microsoft Teams and the tools we are talking about today, which is Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Whiteboard, and Microsoft Teams? And the first response is, I regularly use all 3 and even more. The second answer could be, I regularly use all of them. The third option, I only use Microsoft Teams regularly. And the fourth option, I have never used any of them. I think the third answer should be, I only use Microsoft Teams occasionally, not regularly, occasionally. I think we have a mistake here. So let me read the question again. To what extent do you use Microsoft Teams and the tools we are talking about today, which are Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Whiteboards? The first option, I regularly use all three and even more. The second, I regularly use all of them. The third option, I only use Microsoft Teams occasionally. And the fourth option, I have never used any of them. And again, please, organizers and panelists, don't vote. So we are waiting for our results. Okay, so the majority, I have never used any of them. So Kariel, a great chance for Microsoft to work on this audience and to offer this solution to them. I think they will be pleased. And then the second option, I only use Microsoft Teams occasionally. And the third group, smaller group, I regularly use all of them. Very nice. So back to you, Kariel, and to your presentation.
Okay, so do you see my screen again?
Yes, yes, you are back.
Okay, so we will continue, and just to mention that Office 365 is not only a Microsoft Teams, but it's a huge range of solutions that can help you with a lot of activities you need to do in school. For example, each student and each teacher has a OneDrive, which is your online storage with capacity of 5 terabytes per each account. And you also have an online version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So, for example, if you need to create a PowerPoint presentation, you only need your free account with Office 365 for Education. And you just click on PowerPoint, click on a new blank presentation. And as you can see, I'm still in the website browser, and I'm able to create presentations in PowerPoint. So this is another great feature you can get within the Office 365 for education. But as I was a teacher for 11 years, probably my most loved part of the Office 365 solution is Microsoft Forms, because with Microsoft Forms you can create quizzes which automatically grade, and there is some special support for teachers of mathematics, and hopefully we have some of the teachers of mathematics here as well. And for these teachers, the forms will help you also with creation of the quizzes of mathematics. So let's start with some simple quiz which will be related, for example, to geography. And let's start to add some first question, and it will be, for example, again, what is the biggest city of USA? So let's cite some US cities, like I know, for example, Dallas. And right now you can see that Microsoft Forms is cooperating with artificial intelligence, because as you can see, I typed Dallas as the first of the possible responses, and the artificial intelligence which stands behind the forms find out that I typed the US city, and it offers me some US cities as possible next answer. So what I only need to do is just to click on the cities down there, and I can have as many answers as I want to. So I type New York, so the right answer is New York, and it's pretty easy. Let's make it for 10 points, and it's required question. The second one, for example, I will start again with choice, but I don't want to do these type of boring questions like just select, etc. But you can add any video or picture to your question. So it can be, for example, I will stay within the geography, that I, for example, would like to get the image of Barcelona. I can use a Bing search instantly. I don't need to download some pictures, etc. And all these pictures I'm searching from the Microsoft Forms is automatically covered by the Creative Commons license. So I just need to choose some good picture, and it uploads automatically. And the question will be, guess the city. And let's start with Barcelona, and then again, as you can see, I start to type the European city, and I'm able right now to choose, and artificial intelligence again helps me to choose some European cities. Okay, so now it's much easier. Of course, the right answer is Barcelona. Let's keep it for 5 points, for example. So when you are able to make a picture or video as a part of the question, you can use it almost on every subject. You can use it for history, for geography, for language arts, for other types of classroom chemistry, etc. And you can always use the images from the internet, or you can, of course, upload your own images as well. The next one will be, for example, for language teachers. When you want to create a questions not with choices that students need to choose one of them, but you want from students that he or she needs to type the right answer. So, for example, it can be like that. We, for example, for English lessons, have you or complete the sentence. Have you ever been? And in this type of question, the student needs to type the correct question. So I will just need to type the correct question, correct answer here, and it will be, of course, 2. And if the student wrote as an answer anything different from 2, he will not be able to get a point. So he needs really to know the exact answer. The next one here is, and which is pretty good as well, is ranking, because I'm pretty sure that almost in every subject you can do some kind of rankings, like sorted by biggest city, like the population in geography. You can, for example, do it in chemistry, in history as well, from the oldest to the newest, etc. So let's stay within the geography, and here I can type a question: sort the countries from the biggest one. And right now here I need to put the countries in correct order, so it will be like USA, France, Czech. But when I publish the quiz, or I share it with my students, or share it publicly, these answers will be shuffled, and the students need to grab it and sort it in correct order. So that's pretty great for, as I said, as a large amount of different activities within your subject. And if you like the shuffle question or shuffle option within this question, you can do it in any type of question as well. So for example, if I want for the first question, not the answers will be all the time sorted like Dallas, Las Vegas, Chicago to New York, I can open the question and here click on the 3 dots, and there is a shuffle options, and it will, after I turn it on, so right now these answers will be shuffled. So the quiz will not be the same for the students, for the respondents. And if you want to make it harder, you can shuffle the questions within the whole quiz. What you need to do is to click on the 3 dots up there, and in the settings you can click on shuffle questions, and it will shuffle the all questions within the quiz. So this will make like that this question will not be probably will not be the first anymore. Okay, and let's now some great stuff and magic for mathematical teachers, because when you are creating the quiz, the questions, there is no support for mathematics in general. But if you go to 3 dots and click on math, right now you are able to, as you already see, to insert some equation. Like, for example, I can type solve the equation, and right now I'm able to type some equation with support of this mathematics keyboard, like 3x plus 7 equals 1. And here we are, have a support from artificial intelligence again, because the artificial intelligence helps me and it already count the correct answer. And because the artificial intelligence would like to make it simpler for me, it also offers some bad answers. So I can easily click on add all. And as I said, you have a quick mathematical question within few seconds, and you don't need to solve the equation because the artificial intelligence make it for you. And there's another good feature for mathematics teachers, because when I click on add new, the artificial intelligence find out that last question was these linear equations, and it creates the mathematics quiz for me, and it offers and randomly create few equations as well. And what I only need to do is to click on add all. Of course, on behind of this, it will solve the right answer. It offers the bad answers as well, as you can see. And within few seconds, I have a complete mathematical quiz with points assigned, with everything. And now, just right now, what you need to do is to share it. There is a lot of options how you can share it. You can copy and paste the link. You can create a QR code, which is pretty popular in classrooms, because what you only need to do is to say to your students, hey, open or take your phones, scan the QR code, and just start on this quiz. And of course, you can use it as an embedded e-frame, which you can paste on your website. And of course, you can send it in email. And as I already mentioned, you can use it as a part of the assignment in your teams as well. So for example, when I right now, and of course, I can, for example, change the theme as well. I can preview how does it look like on a computer and how does it look like on mobile. And when I get back to Microsoft Teams, and when I want to create a new assignment for my classroom, and when I create click on create and create a quiz, you will see hopefully that the geography quiz is already here, and I can use it as a part of my, or as a resource for my assignment. As you can see here is automatically the maximum points of the quiz, and when I assign it to students, I will be able to see the results instantly after the students will fill out the form. So this, as I said, the second part of the Office 365 solution, which is completely free for schools, and you can use it within the minutes in your schools as well. You only need to go to Office 365 for Education and click on Get Started for free, do the registration process, and you can use it almost instantly. And the third one here in the Microsoft Office 365 is Microsoft Whiteboard, because even in this situation when we need to do some distance learning, sometimes you have a situation that you want to draw something, you want to share the whiteboard with students, you want to work together on some resources, and there is an app called Microsoft Whiteboard, which you can use for these type of activities, of course, for free again. There is the different versions of Microsoft Whiteboard. All of them are free. The first one is the version which is web-based, and you can use it in every web browser. And all your whiteboards are synchronized to cloud. So, for example, right now, when I create a new whiteboard, and in a couple of hours, I will switch to another device and open the whiteboard on another device, all these whiteboards will be synchronized, and all these whiteboards will be available for me on all of my devices. I can create a new whiteboard here, and there is a few, and there's a few tools you can use to draw something, to work with your class, with your students, and hopefully we will get the whiteboard active. I will try to open maybe another one. Okay, let's do it from scratch, and I will try to create a new. Okay, demo start again. But no worries, because what you can do, as I said, you have two options. First one is that you open the web version, which is limited in features, but there is some basic features you usually need with your students, like different type of pens, of course the eraser. You are able to share the whiteboard with your students as well. But if you want the, let's say, full version of whiteboard, you can download it again for free from Microsoft Store. Because if you switch to Microsoft Store and type whiteboard, and you will get access to Windows 10 version of Microsoft Whiteboard. And but you can, for example, download the Microsoft Whiteboard for iOS as well. So if you have an iPhone, if you have an iPad, you can download the Microsoft Whiteboard as well. And in this applications, in this separate application, and hopefully it will work now, as you can see, you have much more options and tools available for you. And because when you are doing the Teams meeting, you can share the screen with students. So for example, you can run this specific application and you can share the screen, and it will be available for all the students on their devices as well. So I can choose different type of pens, and I can of course use eraser here, so I can erase something I don't want to. I don't want to be part of the whiteboard anymore. I can use a ruler, and I can use it for doing. I need to switch to that. Doing some kind of lines and the right angles and things like that. Of course, this is not the right angle. And I can also add part of the whiteboard. I can paste almost anything. I can insert the image from Bing search again with Creative Commons images. I can type text. I can insert picture from camera. I can insert a PDF file, Word document, and I'm able to do some inking over these files as well. What you can do on top of that is that you can format the background of the whiteboard. So for example, if you want the yellow background and you want some grid on a background like square, you can have it. If you want to have, for example, just the solid background, you can have it as well. And what is great, as I already said, that you can share the whiteboard with your students. So right now, I'm the only person who can draw on this whiteboard. But when I click on the share button and I copy the share link and I send it to Microsoft Teams, I send it to students in another way, they are almost instantly able to join me on this particular whiteboard, and we can create something together. And another great feature is that, for example, not all of your students are able to be part of your online lessons. So what you can do at the end, you can export the whole whiteboard as an image or high quality image, and you can share it with your student as well. So there's a quick introduction to Microsoft Whiteboard. As I said, you can use it as a web-based application. Right? It's already loaded, and as I said, it's a web-based version. But if you want more features, you can download for free from App Store or from Microsoft Store the full version of Microsoft Whiteboard, and you can use it for these type of activities. So that's all from my side, and thank you for your interest.
Thank you, Kariel. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Excellent. Please stay on our line for the questions. But what we will do now, we will do another poll question to our audience, and we will check how they feel about the situation when we are forced to teach online, do the teaching online. So let me read the question. How are you keeping up with online education so far? And again, we have 4 options. The first option, I already use online teaching tools before the quarantine. The second option, I recently found it out. I will also use it after quarantine. The third option, I'm still in progress. I will use it after quarantine. And the fourth option, it is not for me. I prefer traditional educational methods. So again, let me repeat the question. How are you keeping up with online education so far? And we are waiting for the results. Okay, so the majority of our participants are still doing progress, and they plan to use online education after quarantine. This is very good news, definitely for Kariel and for Microsoft. And the second biggest group, I recently found it out, and I will also use it after quarantine. Very nice. And Dave, maybe we can also post our question regarding where are our participants from. It's probably question number 1. Can we post it now? Let's check on our audience. So dear audience, let us find out something about you. From where are you listening to this webinar? Is it Europe? Is it Asia? Is it North and South America? Is it Africa? Or even Australia and Oceania? I'm not so sure about the pronunciation. So do we have someone from Asia or America, Africa, Australia, Oceania? Good to know. So moments of evaluation. Maybe if we work on Microsoft Forms, it will be even faster. Yeah. So it seems that the majority of our listeners are from Europe. So that was fast. That was quick. Okay, very good. So now, without further ado, let me introduce my dear colleague and also the co-author of this project, Deloitte for Schools. It's Jan Hejdmánek. He is the Robotic Process Automation and Intelligent Automation Director in Deloitte, Czech Republic. But at the same time, as his hobby, I would say, Honza is also very active in teaching. Just this morning, he had some teaching exposure. And I can also share with you that Honza, in his previous career, was teaching. He was active in teaching, so it's not that he will be kind of telling you just something which will be strategic, but it will be also from the real life. And Honza will actually summarize the situation with the online teaching, how we see it as of today. And then he will also give us some warnings regarding the security issues, potential security issues in our schools. So Honza, please take it from there.
Thanks, Senta, and thank you all for having us this morning. I'll not stall for long. We've got a couple of data that we've collected also during the time. And as you probably know already, can you come back, please, Dave? Yeah. So the schools in Czech Republic were closed for, buildings were closed for some time. And this is a great exercise for us, and we have collected some learnings. So we found out, and the schools found out that they are not just schools for teaching. There's also some administration and management that needs to happen, mainly about colleagues in school, not only the teachers themselves. And the Czech population of teachers is typically over 40 years old. So that's a generation that doesn't have that much exposure to the technology. And we found out that understanding the technology and the impact of technology is heavy with them. So we tried to explain them over a couple of webinars we had before how they should think about the online schooling and how this applies to all the three functions of the school. So Dave, can go back now to this learning platforms. So what Mr. Kotovsky or the people on the call today were talking about is online learning platforms. And for us, it's not the technology that's interesting. For us, it is about making the experience for all the people involved bearable and enjoyable, preferably enjoyable. So the students need to understand and have a clear visibility what will happen, when it will happen, and how it will happen. The teachers need to have a clear understanding what will happen and how they will prepare the courses and the materials. And it all starts with the online schooling platform. As we were talking about Microsoft, there are of course other platforms online that are available. But what we need from those platforms to make sure that the school is actually online is the voice calls, of course, the broadcasting, the chat, collection or access to the materials of the school, and of course grading and explaining how the students do in their assignments. The schooling platform doesn't necessarily need to have all the media and information inside. We've got the whole internet around us, but the platforms need to have the connection to those, and the student should go to one platform preferably for all the data which they need for the studying and for learning. And with that, of course, there is a need for administration. There need to be somebody, a body in the school that will tell the students and the teachers how they should use the platform. In our situation 2.5 months back, it was kind of a wild west scenario. We reached a situation when every teacher was supposed to teach the students, but there was nothing in place. There was no guidance from our ministry, or very little. And the teachers started to use different means and different ways. So it could happen that the same student received over an email some data to process, some assignments to process via plain text email. Some other teacher used an SMS, and some other teacher used a Zoom platform because he or she was very tech savvy. And that's definitely not the thing that we want to do as a society. So, Dave, if I can ask you please to advance here. There are free tools that doesn't have to be community-based only. Of course, there are some great community projects, some open sources, but there are some companies like Google or Microsoft that help the schools for free because they understand and they see that the students and education is at the heart of the society. So what Mr. Kotovsky showed you just a few minutes back, or what the Google Education has, are things for free. The school can apply for that. They can use that for free. And those platforms encompass all the things that I just explained. So there are for some free tools for small schools, for schools that are for 10, 15, 30 people. But also, if you've got a bigger school, you need to have a better tool. So think about what you can do. And we are very much DIY country, and we are very much innovative if it's needed, really. So of course, the teachers tried some tools, and teachers tried to be self-sufficient. And when I was teaching, it was a custom that we bring our things to the education. I brought my clays to the sessions because we didn't have enough. I brought in my papers because we didn't have enough, and so on. And so the teachers tried to be self-sufficient. Now let's make them a little bit more advanced here and try to use some professional services, some professional tools. So what we found in our survey, Dave? So of course, the Google for Education is a great thing. And you can go to the link here in the QR code. You can snap it on your phone, or you can go to the education Google.com, and you can try those if you got the account. Now, of course, that's one option if your preference is Google environment. If you want to use the Microsoft, Dave, please. Of course, there is a Microsoft version as well with the Microsoft Teams, as you saw just a few minutes back. Again, educationmicrosoft.com is the link. You can go there. But the survey that I was talking about, well, we've gone through online and generally available storages in Czech Republic. And in April, we've done a basic and simple, most important legal tasks to get the data. We found out that in the 7 platforms that we've checked, which were open groups in the social networks, some online storages, and so on, we found that almost 350 people, probably teachers, shared some materials for their students. And we found almost 3,000 unique students and their personal data. And that's why I'm talking about the professional platforms, because it is not about if it's free or if it's Microsoft, if it's Google. We see that the online world is very dangerous. It's very unfriendly and hostile environment if you are very small. And I've got 2 young boys, preschool boys, of course, and I see them clicking on my iPad, on my tablet, on my phone, on my computer. And they get those advertisements, and I know that when they will get to the school, they will be using some kind of technology. And there's nothing more pressing for me than their safety, of course. As if you are a parent, then probably yours is as well. And if we share the personal data of our students, there are people that are not that friendly in the internet world, and they might be utilizing the personal data to stalk on their children, to get to the children and try to use them for their efforts. And the 3,000 unique personal data might not seem as a high number, but that's a lot of people. That's a lot of young children, potentially, that can be misused, really, if it's the right word. So what we try to do here is to educate all the teachers and all the people in this teaching process, in the schooling, that they should be using professional platforms, not to do some DIY magic. Because yes, the platform like the social net, open networks can be easy to use, but it's easy to use for everybody. And as much as I'd like to trust the people, it is where it is. And anybody can learn and read data. So please, when you talk with the people around you about online schooling, think about the security and the children and their data and their lives and try to use the platforms that are really meant to be secure, that has got some big name and company that is thinking about the security in first place. I know that if we try to search the net in other countries than Czech Republic, we will probably find very similar things. And it's about us to educate, I mean, all of us here on the call, on the webinar, to educate the people around us that this might be really something. There is a great movie that was shot in Czech Republic a year back, and it's a movie about the children being abused through the social nets. So let's not give the people that are doing this a chance here. Of course, as we are all using the webinar technologies and online call technologies, you probably heard about Zoom, but it's not the only technology that has got some privacy and security issues. There is something that is called video call hijacking. And again, if you are using a technology, if you are using some video calls, please make sure that you secure the technology or ask somebody that will help you to make it secure. Of course, we are ready to help in Deloitte, but there are other groups around us that will help, and the newspapers and the media do their job as well. So you should probably know about the call security and privacy. And it's all the technology. All the technology can be misused. So let's think about the security and privacy before we use the technology. We can see that I'm on my own in my home office, and I'm sharing part of my private space. The same you are doing in your teaching, in your sessions, and the same the children are doing. So think about that before you start the next video call. I think that's all from my call and from my part of the story here. And I'll hand back to Senta for the rest. I know it's not the most funny topic, but it's very pressing and very dear to me.
Thank you, Honza. Thanks even for your pressing issues. I think we should realize that there are some. And I would now ask all our panelists to go back to switch their cameras, Honzikuti Taki, switch their cameras, switch their microphones, and we will be answering the questions. And to the participants, to our audience, if you want to ask Jan, Petra, or Karel, please send your questions into the chat window, and we will definitely answer them. And if you are having some secret even questions, you can send them to us, replying to our email with the slides and with some kind of summary of today's webinar. So the first question goes to Kariel, and it's basically a technical question, and it sounds: could Microsoft Forms and Whiteboard be integrated into physical classes as well? Do you think if we integrate them that this would make teaching more efficient? And if we do that, what benefits we might expect? Kariel, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so as an ex-teacher, I think that you can incorporate Whiteboard in your physical classes as well, because nowadays a lot of classrooms are equipped with a real whiteboard and the projector, which is presenting the screen on a whiteboard, and you can use it on a digital and online way as well. And a lot of students, or almost every student, have some kind of smartphone, and when they are able to download the app on the smartphone as well, they can participate on the whiteboard with the teachers from their table. So it's and a lot of schools, it's already practicing this kind of activity, so you can incorporate it in your classes as well.
Thank you, Kariel. The second question also goes to you, and this is, can another person enter all teams and all online lessons to do some kind of observations? In Czech, we call it hospitalizace. No, hospitace. Yeah, to visit basically maybe even in a secret regime those classroom and check whether they are going well, whether the teachers are teaching well, whether the pupils and students are engaged, and whether they interact with the teacher. Is this a possibility on your platform?
Okay, so it's depending on how you will create a meeting. When you are creating the meeting, you can invite your students as well as this kind of person, or you can create a meeting and send the link to this kind of person, and they can join the online class as well. So it's completely up to you if you want to, or you can record the whole lesson and you can share it with this person as well.
Mm-hmm. And there is one question to Petra, and this is, Petra, what is your translation strategy for the Khan Academy in the Czech Republic? Do you prioritize topics like STEM, technology, computer science, neural networks, or do you somehow balance the need of like social sciences, technical sciences?
Our priorities are based basically on the demand that we see. So the highest demand is logically in math. So this is the subject that we started with, and that we have the hugest basis in. But of course, we want to. That's why we have also computing, because we found it as extremely important and extremely fun. We get very nice. Very nice feedbacks from users of programming. So this is somehow we basically try to do really maths and programming and balance it with somehow with humanities. So the users see that Khan Academy is not really only about math and programming.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's interesting. I have two questions coming to Kariel. I will start with like a political one. Kariel, are you aware of some country where Microsoft would offer this Microsoft Teams plus other platforms for education in some kind of systematic national project way?
Okay, so there's a lot of countries, and I can start, for example, with Hungary. This project in Hungary started about, I think, 3 years ago, where around 80,000 of teachers started to work with Microsoft Teams based on cooperation between the Microsoft and Ministry of Education. Georgia is one of the other countries as well. In Slovakia right now, there's a starting big project to support the schools with Microsoft Teams solutions. So usually it's depending when the country is centralized or decentralized in terms of deploying these technologies. Like, for example, in Czech Republic and Poland, it's completely on schools what kind of solution they chose. So it's a little bit split in Czech Republic and Poland, but other countries, when there is a centralized systems, there's a lot of countries that are using the Microsoft solutions online.
Excellent. And Kariel, another question for you, and this is very technical, and maybe you can even showcase it to our audience. When you use the whiteboard, is it possible also to type, not only to draw?
Yeah, of course. When there's a button insert, there was a menu item called text, and you can insert it and type.
Can you show it?
Yeah, of course. Can I get a screen share again?
And in the meantime, I have one question for Honzik Hetmanek, and this is Honziku. From what we have learned, which things, in your opinion, should we preserve for when we go back to normal? Which things from the old educational system should be banished? And what other changes you would suggest, yeah, in the educational system, knowing that we have now some new experience from the quarantine and from the online education?
Well, that's an excellent question, and I see Petra liking the question as well.
So Petra can also answer, yeah, and maybe even Kariel, because I think it's the question for all of you.
Yeah, I think it is ultimately it's about the schools and the teachers, what they will like, and the students, of course. I can see that the students I've got around me have natural interest in keeping some of the technology in their way. What we saw as well, of course, is the students in the end didn't like to be completely segregated and be at the home office or homeschooling forever. They were really eager to come back to the school and to see their friends and do the things at school besides, of course, learning. So I think we will need to get to something that I would call blended learning experience. Not fully virtual, not fully at school, but some blended kind of learning. And the blend, that will depend on the type of school and on the type of education, of course, because we are talking mostly about the generic education, like the primary and secondary schools. But there are, of course, special schools, like conservatories for fine arts, where I can hardly imagine that if you are learning how to play organs, you will get one at home. So it really depends on the school and how they will get there. For the usual subjects, I can see that, or I can imagine that we will go to something like 4 and 1, 4 days at school and 1 day at home. Or I can imagine that the school day will be just 4 hours a day, and the afternoon will be for the children and the students to do their assignments and utilize the space of the school, or go somewhere else and do the subject. So I think it's important not to forget what we learned and what we've tried. That will be first and foremost.
You would suggest, if you were a teacher or a principal of the school, you would suggest to do some post-mortem, yeah, and to prepare some strategy for your school, yeah, for the days after quarantine, and keep some or keep the best, yeah, out of the online learning experience, and keep also some kind of freedom for those kids who want to be developed in their specific talents, yeah, things like that. And you would call it blended learning, yeah? Is it right?
Yes. Yes, basically, yes.
What is Petra's point of view on that? Do you agree with Jan, or do you have some other ideas?
No, I totally want to second this, because from our experience, this is what I want to add to this, is that from our experience, the past learning and the way schools were working, it was a bit passive in our sense, but it worked. It worked somehow. It worked for the teachers, and it worked somehow for the students and for the parents as well. But nowadays, everything's changing. Everything had to change suddenly. And what we saw, that even teachers that were somehow reluctant to use any means of online teaching, not to mention like educational videos, but to use also like just a small exercise or something like this, they were really reluctant to do this, and this changed a lot. So I hope that this aspect of online learning will stay in even when children return to their schools. So yeah.
And I have a specific version of this same question to Kariel, and this is like, knowing that we have now the experience from the quarantine, what is the new strategy of Microsoft in where to invest, focus, and development and innovation, yeah, on your platforms? And this is my question.
Okay.
This is not from the audience.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer could or could not be so pretty simply. But for example, when we started with Microsoft Teams, and it's about 3 years ago, a lot of schools are already using, not only in the Czech Republic, are using Microsoft Teams on daily basis before the quarantine situation. So all of our products, or most of our products, are also available as a web-based version, so they can be used in an online way or in a present way with students in the classroom. So we are heavily investing in cloud solutions like Azure, like Office 365, and other solutions as well, which
So
enable.
basically, your strategy is to increase market share rather than to do some like specific innovations or some kind of new features, new ideas, new products.
I would say both of these answers are correct, because for example, during the April, we add a lot of new features to Microsoft Teams related to education. Like there is a raise hand feature, there is a feature to download the presence list of the online meeting. There is a new features which allows the teachers or the meeting organizers to change the background behind the speaker, and a lot of new features in Microsoft Teams are coming in next week as well. But for us, it's not important only to deploy the solutions, but for us, it's important that the customer is happy with the solution and is using actively the solution.
And the last question, and then I know that we are already like out of time, but my last question, I have to make this question, and it's also for Kariel and to Petra. Do you think that your companies should somehow cooperate, and that we should think as the society to create some ecosystem, yeah, where those platforms, which are like standard platforms, yeah, be it Microsoft, be it Google, also communicate and cooperate very natively with the appliances, if I may, as the Khan Academy and others?
Okay, so ladies first.
I just wanted to say, if you want to start, yeah. I think that Kariel didn't mention it, but I mentioned our sponsor, Bakaláři, that is already working on the Czech level to incorporating Microsoft Teams and the meetings, especially into their software. So the integration is already happening. The integration can be seen on the side of Google as well, where 5 years ago, there wasn't even the slightest idea that we would incorporate, we would somehow import classes from Google Classroom, for example, into Khan Academy. So the integration is happening. The worst question is that who is going to pay this? Because you have to, there is a lot of people needed for this integration, and some kind of one company can't fund all of this, so that is rather like an open question for the future.
Yeah, this is now going into the politics, which most probably we should avoid. But what is Kariel's view on that?
Okay, so as you already saw in my short demo, there's a lot of third-party integration tools available right now for Teams. There's dozens and hundreds of it. In terms of cooperation, for example, with Khan Academy, I remember that our community called Microsoft Innovative Educators worked on some of these translations as well a few years ago. And if the question was also about cooperating with Google, right now there is one activity called Czech Digital, where we are together with Google helping the schools without any solutions for distance learning to deploy the best solutions for them. So we are doing some interviews with the schools, and based on the answers, the Google solution or Microsoft solution is chosen for them. And these volunteers are helping the schools to deploy and to start using Google or Microsoft Office 365.
Excellent. And I think this was like a very nice closing sentence, yeah, for our webinar. And Davide, if you can show us the connection to our hotline. Do we have it? This would be also a good information. What I can promise to you is that we will summarize our webinar today. We will send you the link to the webinar, and we will send you the link to our hotline, which is basically there for all the teachers, all the schools, and we are replying on this Deloitte hotline for schools in 48 hours. So you can use it. This is the hotline which is not existing all the time, but this is the hotline which exists during the quarantine. And here you see the hotline, and here you see also where you can contact us and where you can reach this hotline. And with that, let me again, thanks to all our fantastic panelists, to Jan Heitmanek, Petra, and Kariel. And our next webinar will be organized on 27th of May. And this time it will be the discussion around how this situation is handled by parents, and typically the parents who are very busy, who are running their CXO jobs, and who are also handling their own kids. So we are excited for this discussion. Thanks so much for your participation today. Have a lovely day, and see you on 27th of May. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.